It's time for the H2G podcast, and here are your hosts.
All right, so this is Gary43. He says, I feel like Justin is the reason this country has to put directions on shampoo. Do you even know what you're talking about, bro? No, I don't, Gary fucking 43.
Justo.
I have no idea. I don't even use shampoo. I just use 1 3-in-1 body wash, you bastard.
All right, this is from Karen45. How do you feel about being ranked sexiest man on your podcast when Tony looks like a barbecued Kermit the Frog?
Jesus Christ.
Wait a second.
My.
Why? That sounds like a Tony riff. Why is Marvin?
That's a Tony riff. That's towards me?
Wow.
Does Christy think having a child on her lap makes her seem more likable? Also, get some sleep. You look tired.
Christy.
Thanks, Breezy. I'm trying.
Adam says, I see ratings must have been down. They recruited someone interesting.
Wow.
Chelsea.
Oh.
All right.
The burn on the rest of us.
Oh, I mean, thank you, Adam.
Ashley says, I watch the show a lot and I was wondering, are you all changing the name to RT2M? Richie talks too much.
Richie.
I don't know what to say, Ashley, other than I feel like I talk exactly as much as I should. So.
Yeah. Oh boy. Margaret says, is it me or when Tony talks, do you get the feeling he's constipated?
Yeah.
And Tony Ray.
Well, that face right there doesn't really help you.
Welcome to the H2G podcast.
Welcome back to the H2G podcast. Today we have an artist spotlight. We have Jenna Horner with us. Jenna, I feel like I know your whole family at this point. I was just in South Carolina. I hung out with your brother and your sister and your nieces and your nephew and your parents. Like, I've literally hung out with everyone except you at this point.
I don't think I realized that. That's super cool and weird. Great.
Right. I was like, I feel like I already know her, and I saw all your in Tiffany's apartment, and it's amazing. So I was even more excited to have you on the podcast. Do you want to tell us, I guess, a little bit about yourself and your background, and then we can kind of go around the horn and ask some questions?
Sure. My name is Jenna, and I am primarily a mural artist at this point in my life, but I started as a mixed media artist. I got my degree in painting at UF in 2014, and for the most part, have just been making art since. I've had lots of different jobs, but my primary focus has been to be a starving artist gone, struggling artist gone, full-time as an art time, and as I said before, primarily I'm working on murals at this point in my art career.
Wow. Okay, so I guess I'll start with a couple questions and then I'll pass it off to whoever wants to go. I'm by no means as talented as you are, but I do like doing art, and I've liked doing it since I was little. But is there a certain time in your life where you realized I want to do this as like my career, or was it just something that you've always done since you were young?
I think it's, those are two separate questions. So yes, I've done it since I was young and knew that that's essentially how my brain worked. It felt at a very young age, I've always been kind of this left brain, like creative in general. I was really into musical theater, into dance. And so I did a lot of different creative practices before I actually found visual art as my primary language, is kind of what I like to call it, because that's how it feels for me at this point, is that it's a totally different language that I've learned. I have the ability to speak, and I would say in high school, like academia was hard for me as somebody who has that left brain way of being. Standardized testing and all of the above were difficult to push through, and to have the discipline to know that I wanted to get good grades to go to art school. So in high school, I had that reality of knowing that I wanted to go to school for art, and therefore be an artist. That's got a lot of waves and twists and turns inside of it, for sure. But I would say I've created since I was a kid, but I knew I wanted to explore art as a career, which I do think is separate from enjoying art, because I think everyone's got creative juices. Most of us aren't given platforms to use or to embrace them. And so one thing I love doing is working with people that do sit at desks all day and try to get them kind of in that mindset of what, of how they are creative, because I think we all have it. And I love talking to people that are like, yeah, I kind of like art, but it's always a funny conversation. I don't believe everyone's meant to be an artist career-wise, but I think that everyone has something in them that should kind of release or let go, and artistic sense of being.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned that you mostly do murals. Is that something where you're only getting like commissioned pieces and they kind of dictate what you do, or do they give you the artistic freedom to just go ahead and do what you want to do?
Yes, and I started doing a mural because I applied for a project that was all for local artists in Gainesville, Florida, and I was literally fresh out of school. I had no idea what it looked like to be an artist outside of school and being told what you're making or how you're supposed to make something. So I applied for this mural. Basically, it was just like a local artist needed. They picked 11 local artists to work on this one wall all together. So it was a community project for the city, and I got chosen for it. One of the 10 artists or however many there were. And it just kind of changed my whole life. So that was a city commissioned mural that was more open-ended, and that doesn't really happen all the time. So that was a really rare situation where I kind of got this open-ended, like, there's a giant wall and paint whatever you want. And I had absolutely no idea what the hell I was doing. And I got really addicted to painting walls after that, but it also, because it's public art, has a domino effect. So what happened from there was companies started commissioning me, and they did have specific ideas in mind, right? So most of the time when I'm getting corporate murals, they have an idea of what they want, but they're not quote unquote creative people. So that's where I step in, and I'm still creating designs I try to think of myself as a custom commission artist. So if you have an idea, a concept, a logo, but you're like totally blank on what is necessary for your space, I've become super addicted to spaces, like site-specific paintings, that it's not just about a painting for a building. It's about the environment of the space, who's walking through it, the energy of the people inside it or outside it. All these things really matter to me. They're like kind of materials as a painter, is the space. So from those, I'm now finally 5 years after making murals in a place where I'm getting commissions that are a lot more artistically free, and it's people saying, we love your role from A, B, or you do something like that, but the rings are yours. And that's really wonderful, but it's taken a really long time to get there. So I think it's kind of both, you do a lot of work for people according to what they want, but that allows a portfolio to even exist. And then from there you get commissions where you have more open air to work in.
Yeah. And when they do give you that freedom, where do you look for inspiration? Is it something that just kind of comes to you when you see the space, or is there like music you listen to, or?
Yeah. I mean, depending, like I said, as far as the custom commission projects go, I love being able to go into the environment first. Sometimes that's not available to me. So a lot of it is having conversation with the people that are commissioning it, or getting to know the business or exactly the activities that are being done there. But a lot of it is based on the environment, and then the concept of why, like, what's our why here? Why do we want the mural? Is it because you just want people to take pictures in front of something pretty for Instagram? Is it because you want to boost morale? Is it because you want to have like a specific scene that reminds people to kind of get out of whatever the space is and enter a new world? Like I just did, a nature scene in an office like that. There's so many different whys you can have for creating a mural in the first place that I think that question's hard to answer. It's my favorite part about the job is that it completely changes from one project to the next.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That sounds really interesting to me. I'll let somebody else ask questions though, so I'm not hogging all of it.
I'm going. You had your chance. I sat there and waited.
I hit my unmute.
Well, I waited for like 30 seconds with you. So, Jenna, first thing I want to say is hammock life. I appreciate you're in a hammock right now. I completely got rid of 2 couches to have a hammock in my living room, and I slept in it for 2 years. So I love hammocks. So my first question for you is not related to your career or anything like that. It's, do you like cloth hammocks? Or are you okay with the synthetic style? Because a lot of people are doing those cheap synthetic ones. Mm-hmm. And I'm not about that life personally, but as an artist, what's your take?
I'm in the hammocks right now. It's a synthetic hammock. So yeah, I mean, but this is one, like, I like camping in it, right? It's really wide. Yes. It's waterproof. It's got the little bug shield. I live in Florida. Am I right? So like if I'm going camping, and I also pro sleep for a hammock. I'm a yoga teacher too. So like healthy spine, healthy mind. So yeah, like I'm all about this is a functional camping hammock. In my dream world, I have like cloth or, really beautiful hammocks woven, that are ridiculously priced, like, and handmade by some beautiful Guatemalan woman. I give all my money to. They're everywhere. Like, that's my dream, but yeah.
Yeah. Mine was basically that. It was hand woven in Mexico. So I got my dream, and it was healthy. I like healthy spine, healthy mind. That's how it felt. I unfortunately jumped into it too hard and I tore it. So I ruined my hammock. But anyways, healthy spine, healthy mind. I definitely agree with that. It feels great sleeping in one. Now that I got that out of the way though. Honestly, Chelsea kind of hit everything pretty much that I feel like. I live near San Francisco, so that I kind of just want to go over, trying to kind of force you in a question you don't want to answer. I feel like that's what I'm going to go with. So one of the things that's really cool in San Francisco is it's really well known for street art and murals, quite frankly. And the Clarion Alley was the first one in 1972. Anyways, basically each section has exactly what you're talking about, themes. Some are for women, some are for minorities' rights, some are more freestyle. And that's what I want to ask you, is not so much, because you're saying project to project. Dream scenario, just like we talked about with the hammock. Dream mural, you get to do whatever you want, no context, in a vacuum. What is the type of mural you would like to do? If you could just do it for the sake of your artistic creativity and your passion.
Yeah, well, I luckily have gotten those opportunities. They're still according to a space, but I've had like the free range. But usually my whole reason for creating and for making art, and specifically with the murals, because they are public, they are such a great opportunity to say things that matter, right? So I'd like to think that whatever art I'm creating for myself and for other people, if I'm given that freedom to do whatever I want, that it really holds purpose. And I've had some really wonderful opportunities recently to be able to kind of touch on social justice. And I mean, before the year that we've all had, I was already really focused on specifically, as humans, our intrinsic connection to each other through nature. So that's like my easier way of saying that. But I think I have a lot of answers to that question. It still is so dependent on where it goes. Like, that matters to me. So if it's the wall is somewhere and I want to take notes about everything in its environment before I create something. But I think the overarching answer to that is that it would be something really colorful. It would have some kind of mindful message like snuck in it. I like this idea of like Easter egg messages where you don't see them right away and then you find them the more you look at a mural. The mixed media artist in me loves the idea of like a big surreal collage piece that's all about unity, essentially. But I think another section to that, though, would be that if I'm thinking about this dream mural, it's high. I want to go up. I want to like be in a scissor lift the whole time, and I want to be high in the sky.
Nice.
Because Florida's really flat and wide and low. Everything here is just like I've done that a couple times, but it's really rare here because everything's so low. I can use my scaffold, for everything. So if I'm talking dream scenario, I'm always trying to challenge and kind of grow. And I know for me right now, I'm really craving that idea of height. Big.
Height. Okay.
Height.
Big, tall,
loud.
in a crane. Wow.
Yeah.
Colorful, I'm sure. All right, cool. Well, appreciate it, Jenna. Thank you.
Yeah. Good question.
Jenna.
Christy, girl, you're so close every time.
She's just too slow.
What's up,
Marvin.
Hi, Marvin.
She had her hand up. I didn't even see that.
No, I only had her on my
She did.
screen and I saw her try, so that's why I mentioned her, but then I heard your voice. So what's up?
They usually expect me to go last. So I don't blame them. But Jenna, what's been one of the biggest obstacles you've faced as an artist in your tenure so far?
Good question. Inconsistency, like patience and continuing to understand, relearn my value as an artist, and try to remain confident in that value and consistent. I think that I knew going in, sometimes you make all of your money in 1 month and then you make absolutely nothing for 3. I've experienced a lot of those waves as an artist, and it's a conversation I have with aspiring artists and friends that are in these fields or considering taking a talent into a creative practice into a working environment, right? Those, like I said to Chelsea earlier, it's very two different concepts. So once your passion becomes work, it can be really challenging to keep that consistency of valuing your work. And then in addition to that, I would say, because it's my passion, it can be still emotionally draining. I tend to put all of myself into projects or into certain things, and then sometimes they don't work out. And so you get this repetitive, I find myself in these relationships with being pretty good at knowing that I'll be let down and then I move on. But I'm learning that I kind of callous over that, and then emotionally after a while, if you push really, really hard to get something and then it just keeps not happening, it can take a toll on you. And so there's a lot of, I think it's a dedication, is really huge when it comes to making it your career. It's about knowing your value and being dedicated to continuing to prove that to yourself. It's not easy.
Yeah, I feel you. So
we all have our bad days.
Right. So what's been that one driving force that's really fed that insatiable need to create, through college, through everything? What's one thing you really just gets you, what really what inspires you right before you start to draw that next mural?
That's more, it's very energetic for me. It feels in my body. I don't feel like it's something I do anymore. I think it's who I am. So it comes from a place that's for instance, right now I'm kind of been in a planning period for multiple projects. I haven't been actively with a brush in my hand. And I find myself in this place where it's I am no longer speaking a language that I know, right? I'm just planning it. I'm writing it out a lot to myself, but I'm not sharing it. And that it feels crippling. I feel there is a part in me physically that has to release that. So it's definitely pretty deep in my bones at this point. I also just can't imagine anything else I'd rather do. It's got a lot of hardships, but I think when you do work from that place of passion, then it's what you love.
I feel you. Passion and dreams keep you going. I really love your photos here. The Stay Connected one really has a deep message.
Thank you. Yeah, that one I planned to do way before COVID was like in place and quarantines, etc. And that one I actually did right at the beginning of, sorry for the rap music that just drove by my hammock. That one I did right as Gainesville specifically shut down. So everyone was literally like stuck inside, and I was painting Stay Connected on a wall, and it felt a lot different in its message all of a sudden. More important, and there's so many different definitions to what that mural means. I love people's translations of that mural. One of my favorite things is like, there's no grade for how you feel about my art, right? So like you have your own interpretation of it, and that's wonderful. And that's half the reason I create it in the first place. There's no right or wrong way to see my art. So I could make it for a specific reason, but it's an invitation for people to kind of connect, if you will, with it and create their own interpretations from it.
Thank you, Jenna. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, don't even think about it, Justin. I knew it. I literally had my hand hovering over the underneath. I was like, that asshat is going to try and cut me off.
Asshat.
Asshat.
I love you so much, Justin, but not today.
You know it's serious when she starts calling people asshats.
Asshat. Yikes.
I mean, there's been some pretty bad asshats mentioned on the show before. I feel bad that I'm in this group now.
That you are officially a hat of an ass now, yes.
Richie's an asshat, so you're in good company at least. I love you. You're my favorite ex-husband. I have so many questions. As you people were talking, I'm just getting more questions. So, first of all, I do want to say sorry for calling you Katie on yesterday's show.
Oh, you did it on the show. See, that's the part I was confused about. I thought you were just telling me, like, in passing, you said my name was Katie. I thought that just doesn't matter at all.
Oh, no, officially. She officially called you
Okay,
Katie.
she did announce it. I get it now. Okay.
Yeah,
well, you are
my
forgiven.
bad.
Forgiveness from me to you. Easy.
So much. Secondly, I love your outfit. You look freaking adorable. Like, I love your scarf. Is that one scarf, or do you have layered scarves?
It's just one scarf and then a sweatshirt and some spandex. I just taught a yoga class literally right before this, so I just didn't change and I got right in my hammock and I said, I hope this works.
I love it. And you should come back and teach us all a yoga class. I think that'd be amazing.
Zoom yoga, man. Getting good at it. I'm ready for you guys.
Oh my gosh. I would love that so much. I do have an actual serious question. If you could only paint with one color, you can do different shades, whatever. Only one color, what color would you pick?
That has never occurred to me in my whole life.
Like if you had to do a monochromatic world.
Well, I mean, am I allowed to have black and white?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
That's important.
Yes.
Then I say, weirdly, I say blue. Yeah.
That's a good
I'm
one.
having a hard time because what I really want is to say blue and orange, which I know sounds atrocious, but it's because they're complementary. And what I could do with that is I could make a million bajillion chromatic neutrals. So if I have black and white, I all of a sudden I just created so many more opportunities for me to mix different colors by having that second color. But I'll take blue.
That is fair. But blue and orange, isn't that the dolphin? So shout out.
It's actually the gator. So a lot of like those obnoxious contrast, super opposite colors are going to be like football teams or Christmas or holidays. Like we've been programmed as a society to see these opposite colors as like trademark awful things in our brains. And for me, they're awful. I'm like, so bad. But like they have the ability, if they actually have a relationship together, to be the most beautiful things.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And another question, how many walls in your house are white?
All of them.
Really?
You betcha. I really found out about myself that I need like my own house. My house is also my studio space. I'm right in front of it right here. I live in like a tiny little jungle home and it's magical, but I used to have just shit everywhere, like stuff all over my walls, and now post quarantine, I'm that girl that owns like 100 million plants. So I have like 100 million different vessels for plants and macrame everywhere, hanging plants. But I don't have like any of my. I definitely don't have my own art up. Sometimes people always assume that. They think like I've created murals in my house everywhere and there's always my art everywhere. All my art's tucked up in my storage space, and then I try to support other local artists or friends that I went to school with. Like I have some photography up, you know, from when I was in college that reminds me of the friends that I had then, and I have some paintings from closer friends in town that are also local makers. But for me, it's about like giving back and supporting those other people that are also doing the same thing as I'm doing. But like, I don't want to see my shit everywhere in my house. So I just like my white walls, and then and also that like calming effect. Like when I took even other friends' work down and more of my walls became blank, and then the plants, like it's a very peaceful place to come home to after being like waist deep, boots deep in paint buckets and sweat. You know, you come home and you're like, white walls are good.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was a little shocked when you said all of them. I love it. It was such a good answer though. And I have just one final question, and Justin can take it away. What color do you hate most?
Color do I hate most?
Or what do you like least?
Man, you're funny with your color hates and loves over here.
Right?
I don't think I like hate colors very much, but I am very optically upset when I see like the emergency colors. So like highlighter colors they hurt me, right? Like the vest people. But then again, like I'm a really colorful person and I could be caught wearing that on a shoe in a small way, but not like a big way. Like if you're a tennis ball and you're that color really big, chartreuse, that's a lot for me. So I think it depends where I see the color, but I think my answer to this is like the highlighter colors are hard to accept a lot of at once.
Okay.
Yes.
Walks away.
Oh, she went and grabbed a baby. Okay.
Welcome back, Christy.
Sorry.
That's cool. No, that was great. You just said, I'm going to go grab this baby and you came back.
And who cares about what she's saying,
well,
you know?
I'm going to take my
I do care.
turn.
He was going to fall out of his seat, so I had to go.
Oh.
That takes precedence.
Yeah.
Well,
he was
Lucas
taking a
was...
nap.
He's mad he didn't get to be on the show from the beginning. So Jenna, a couple things definitely in response to what you said so far. I actually had to wear like a highlighter colored hoodie for an outdoor canvassing job that I had one time. And when you work in the snow and it's sunny and you have one of those on, it's the most unbearable situation to be in. You're just the brightest being in the world.
Well, and he's like 6'5", by the way. So imagine how much highlighter.
How much yellow, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Just a lot.
It has its purpose. Like it's supposed to be flashy, right? So it makes sense, but
Right, yeah. Nobody was going to hit me while they were driving. Anyway, unless they wanted to. And then in response to not wanting to see your own art, I can relate big time in that. I'm a musician and an actor, and I don't really like to watch. I edit this podcast, and I think everybody here is fantastic. All the artists are great. And I'm always like, you idiot. No, talking to myself. But my question for you, being that I think we're all artists in our own right here, and I definitely like what was said about everybody has that creative ability. Not everybody can see that through to a professional career. But those that aspire to, like I think back to my early theater days, one of the things you hear most of the time is, wow, that's a difficult career to get into, or wow, that's going to be real. So all of the people that have been their influencers so far, are basically telling them, you're getting into the wrong thing. What would you tell aspiring artists of any sort, or specifically physical art, in regards to that, whether or not to pursue it through that, or I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, if you have any kind of background in it, that conversation, you have to be really willing to not give in to people's doubt or misunderstand. Like, I think a lot of people just don't know how to communicate about it, because one, usually it's something people really admire, and sometimes people's admiration comes off as ignorant when they, depending on how they, whatever language they're using. But I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I told people that I was an artist, and they were like, well, what else do you do? And the hard part is, it's like, I had 7 jobs when I graduated college, like 7 jobs. It was like I did them all the time, but it was all just to feed art. And so I kept having to come back to be like, is the art worth it? And so when I have this conversation with people, it's like, whatever your art, whatever your creative practice is it worth it? Is it worth it to you? Is it worth it for your mental health, your emotional health? Like, it really comes full circle on whether you feel like you're able to translate it into a career outside of just something you love to do. And I would say, like, perseverance, like, continue to ask yourself what you're learning. Because I think anytime we consider ourselves that, like, and I'll just carry on, you're losing the reason behind why you do it. So, like, any creative person I know, I love asking that question, like, what are you learning right now? Instead of asking each other, like, how we're doing. What are you learning? It doesn't have to be something really epic, but for the most part, I think we're always, like, for me right now, it's even just like, I'm learning patience, like trying to be a little more patient with myself, and coming back to knowing that the process, the planning period I'm in right now, is really important to the fruition of the art. It's hard for me to do that part. You move through the stuff that's hard to get to the reward. So perseverance and dedication, I will continue to beat to the ground with people, but also just like being real with yourself on why you're doing it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. That is the only question I had. And your artwork is amazing. I enjoyed it very much, and I hope the viewers are enjoying it as well.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I'll post it all up.
Yeah. So at the end here, what we're going to have you do is just, tell the viewers any last words that you would want to tell them. It could be something inspiring or a quote, whatever you want it to be. And then share whatever like social media or channel you want to plug where people can find your art.
Oh, yeah. Well, as far as, I mean, we all have different ways of like sharing this, but the way I end all my yoga classes is by saying this thing that might sound really cheesy, but I just still believe that everyone out there needs to hear it. So I'll close it that way. And then the only way I know how to close anything, I won't say namaste at the end, but I think the reminder of what I described earlier, why I'm inspired to make work, is this idea of staying connected, of knowing the things that we have in common rather than focusing on the things that separate us. And I think art is an incredible tool to do that. So whatever your art might be, or however you want to consider what that looks like for you, like what are the things that you can do, you can make to make the world a better place and to treat each other better. I always end my classes by saying, be kind to yourself because you matter, and be kind to others because they matter. And I think if we did both of those things, and they're both truly quite different because we don't we don't usually talk to ourselves as kindly as we may be able to other people. So you have to start there. You have to start with a good relationship with yourself and why you're doing whatever it is you're doing. And if you have a lot of question marks when you're like, why is it so hard to be kind to myself? Like, go there first and then work from that space to be kind or to make change for other people. So yeah, that would be my last inspirational thing to say. I have 2 different social media accounts. One I do work off from that's more yogic centric and just like stupid other things for my life. I love cooking as well. So you'll find food, yoga, my cat in this hammock on j.hornergram on Instagram. So J.Horner, Horner Graham. And then my art account, which is the most important thing to me, and I'm trying to kind of revamp all the time, is j.hornerart on Instagram. And then my website is just my name, jennahorner.com. I'm here for our next yoga session. If you guys are ready for Zoom yoga, we can even just do a Zoom meditation. I'm here for it. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys calling me in and meeting some new faces. I have absolutely no idea where any of you live, but cool. Yeah, no, I think it's really wonderful that we are able to do this. I feel honored and I'm very grateful to have you guys have me on your podcast. I think it's pretty wonderful that even in the midst of chaos and a really weird year that we are able to use some of technology to connect. So this is just another tool for us to be able to meet new people. I can have people take my yoga class from all over the world now because of Zoom. You guys got this podcast. You're all hanging out in your own living rooms. I'm in a hammock. We're all in different places. So it's pretty wonderful stuff. And yeah, I'm super grateful to be able to share it with you all. So thanks for all the questions and curiosity and encouragement about the art.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on the podcast. It's been really cool to learn more about. I mean, I've already seen some of your art through Ken and Tiffany, but it's really cool to actually get to virtually meet you and learn more about it. And I love everything I've seen. I was like looking through like all the things hanging in Tiffany's apartment, and I'm like, if one of these goes missing, it was just coincidence that I was just here. All right. Well, thank you to everybody for joining us this lovely Tuesday with Jenna Horner. Tomorrow, we're going to be back with an H2G doubleheader because we'll have The Wire after our usual podcast. So thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Cool. It's been the work.